All right, so I am Jennifer Bearden. I'm the agriculture agent in Okaloosa County, way out in the Panhandle. And this project that we called IPM BMP, since we love acronyms, um, was a partnership with Ethan Carter and Danielle Williams as well, and they are Danielle's in Quincy, so in Gadsden County, and Ethan is in Jackson County. All right, so our situation is when looking at each of the BMP manuals, each one of them has a section on integrated pest management. And I think that's often kind of an overlooked part of the manual. So we wanted to focus in on that because, pesticides are a major concern for our soil and water quality. And the three main ways, any of us that teach both BMPs and integrated pest management or for our pesticide programs know that three main ways that our pesticides move off target are through the drift, leaching, and runoff. So we developed this, and it's very much not an experiment, but more of an extension education program. So an extension education effort around those three things. So drift, leaching, and runoff, and looking at ways that we can do an interesting job of teaching these and actually demonstrating how leaching happens, how runoff happens, and how drift happens. So what we did was we pulled together or I should say our objectives then were to educate 200 Panhandle producers on integrated pest management BMPs, and also be able to get them pesticide CEUs for that education. That is what we did. That is a picture actually of our one of our field days that we had the demonstration table, and you can kind of see the demonstration table over here in the corner. But that was one of the field days where we were able to demonstrate that out, and I think that was our corn field day. I know Jonas talked about wanting to take more pictures, and I should do a better job of taking pictures. I knew I would be presenting on it, but I still didn't do a great job. So this is part of our demonstration table, probably the coolest part, which is our drift demonstration. And this is basically a livestock tank with our boom here. We've got it has a regular pump that pumps the water out here, puts it through the boom, and you can see all the different nozzles here where you can demonstrate drift happening based on your nozzle selection. Here is a fan that can increase the wind or simulate the wind in that. You can also right here are and there are two different booms here. So you can run both booms at once or one boom at a time. But you've got your gauge here, your pressure gauge, so that you can show how an increase in pressure also increase your drift potential. And I don't know if you can tell it, but there's little lights on top of each here, just to be able to increase the amount of light there so that you can see the drift happening a little better. You can also put on the edge of the tank, put some drift cards or some cards to show the droplets drifting onto the cards. But this is to simulate wind. We also have a meter to actually calculate how much wind speed is happening at each nozzle. Also have some tools to show how to clean the nozzles properly, and some tools on how to measure how the output of each nozzle, so that we can talk about calibration and more nozzles because that leads to excess pesticide application to the field as well. So we're able to talk about a lot with that part. We also have a leaching demo, which I have a picture of later in the presentation, that shows, or yeah, the leaching demo that shows how when it's applied in one spot, it can actually move through the soil and go up even into another spot. So showing how that the movement, water movement in the soil is not just even up and down, but can move laterally as well. So showing that that what's applied here can end up elsewhere. And then the runoff demonstration, people probably are familiar with the Enviroscape, and that's what we use to demonstrate runoff potential. So our outcomes, and this right here should say this right here is where you can show the leaching and how it can move not just down through the soil profile, but laterally through the soil profile. So on this, you use a pump, and we're pumping water into this system. And you can see we applied some dye to one side here, and you can see here how the water moved through the soil here and went in under the glass partition here, or plexiglass partition, and moved into the other side. And so it just demonstrates to producers how a pesticide applied in one spot can very easily move and be pop up into another spot. But I talked to him when we're doing this about how this could be anything too. It could be nitrogen happening or phosphorus moving. So we can have nutrients moving as well, and it being similar. So we actually were able to reach more producers than what we had planned. So we actually had 371 producers over the course of this, and we actually had a 97% knowledge gain, and 67% of our producers anticipated or let us know that they intended to make a practice change based on what they learned in this demonstration. So it was I think an excellent way to educate our producers, but also a great way they were able to get a core CEU from this demonstration. And I did this at 2 field days and 3 workshops. Lessons learned in this is that the field days, it was a whole lot easier cleanup because it does make a mess. That's a lot of water that you're moving around. And then the indoor workshops, you're just having I don't know if you can see the wet tablecloth there. So lessons learned on that is having a plastic tablecloth to help mitigate some of that mess that you make. But the mess was worth it, I think, because being able to demonstrate how drift happens, how leaching happens, how runoff happens, and letting them see that is pretty important. I think the biggest comment I got back verbally was that they didn't that being able to see how the drift can happen so easily, and being able to see how that water can move, not just leach down, but actually move laterally through the soil was an eye-opener for them. And so the future is we want to do a follow-up survey in 2024, well, this year, at our field days and workshops to see if they really are going to or really did implement those practice changes for the 2024 growing season. But we also plan to continue using the demonstration table at educational events. So in March, in just a couple of weeks, I'll be at the Jackson County row crop meeting and have this table set up there. I will say that this was aimed more at our row crop farmers, but this demonstration table could be used at any event. So even our commercial horticulture events or even cross other ag pesticide categories. So like right away, aquatic, natural areas. So it can be used at a broad array of different functions. Now that we have the table, we can continue using it going forward. With that, are there any questions? And I will say if anybody wants specifics on how to build this demonstration table, I'd be more than happy to help someone if they wanted to recreate this.